Hey everyone, it's Representative Jason Probst here, and it looks like the Kitty Caucus has got itself a Washington, D.C. based super PAC. Yeah, I got a notice from a friend of mine today that said they got some mail in the last day or two calling me an extremist environmentalist, and so I go looking into this company or this PAC, and they're based out of Alexandria, Virginia, which is just outside of Washington, D.C., and it turns out they spent about $13,000 in the primary election trying to knock off a couple of Republicans out in western Kansas, Jim Minix and Brett Fairchild. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. It's also a little bit interesting that they call me an extremist environmentalist, and I think that you know, a lot of people don't know this because I don't go around talking about what I drive, but this car, this one that I'm in right now, is actually a diesel. So I think I lost my environmentalist card when I bought a diesel engine. And I like it because it gets good gas mileage and it's pretty punchy, and they last for a long time. So yeah, I don't know where a lot of this comes from. Well, I do kind of. The card talks about how I support higher gas taxes. We haven't had a vote on gas taxes since I've been in the legislature, so I don't even know where that came from. It says I support regulations, expensive regulations. Somebody's going to have to clear that up and talk about what that is exactly. And we don't actually make regulations in the legislature. We make bills and laws, and then they go to the executive branch and they turn into regulations. And to my knowledge, we haven't done a whole lot of that since, from my memory, we haven't done a whole lot of that. And then there's this whole thing about the Green New Deal and how I support all these expensive policies. You know, as a guy who's driven a diesel engine in the last couple of years, no one's been paying more for gas than people who drive a diesel truck or a diesel car. And so we've all been feeling the pinch. And I think that's one of the important things we have to remember, right? We're all in this, right? It's not like I'm living in some world where I'm not buying gas. And it's not like I'm living in some world where all the things that are happening globally don't affect me somehow. But it is always funny to me whenever some outside group wants to get involved in a race and they're not truthful about anything. They try to make me look really bad in the picture. I guess black and white photos are scary or something, because that's kind of their MO. They take a regular picture of somebody and they make it black and white, and make it a little blurry, and then it's just kind of like, oh, it's supposed to scare you. But it makes sense to me why they'd think that would scare you, because these guys seem to be scared of everything. They're scared of children, they're scared of kitty litter, they're scared of anything that isn't exactly like them, and I just think it's kind of hilarious that they come back on this, and they're like, oh, here's all these scary things, including black and white photos. It's just a little bit bonkers. But here's the deal. I have made myself available to this community ever since I've stepped in office. I was available to this community well before I was in office, and my approach to everything has never changed. My availability has never changed. I've always been around. People know how to find me. People know how to talk to me, and that's never changed. My opponent, on the other hand, he can't articulate a single thing that he would do in the legislature. All he wants to talk about is culture wars, kitty litters in classrooms, all this stuff that's just designed to get people freaked out. When you get to the legislature, it's a grown-up job. You have to do real work, and the decisions you make actually affect people in this state. It affects everybody in this state. So these campaigns are kind of hilarious to me because, you know, we come out here and we're gonna run crap like this, and they're doing it all over the state. They hit other people way harder than they hit me. But when we get past campaign season and it's time to go do the job of legislating in Topeka, somebody's going to have to put their big boy pants on and actually do the work. And at this point, we have heard nothing out of my opponent. He hasn't shown up at a forum. He hasn't made any appearances publicly. He hasn't done anything, and he hasn't talked to anybody about what his ideas are specifically. It's one thing to talk generally about what you're going to do, or what what people should be afraid of, or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to make decisions, and I think I have a pretty good track record of sitting down with people, talking to them, finding out what they think, finding out what they care about, and taking that information with me to Topeka to try to use it to make decisions that I think are going to serve this community and serve the state of Kansas. In the meantime, all my opponent seems to want to do is talk about kitty litter in the classroom and post a bunch of memes that don't make any sense. So you guys ever have any questions about anything, or you got somebody at your door saying that Jason has some weird belief like kitty litter in the classroom, or that I think aliens have done something to Hutch, or whatever it is. I don't even know what these people are going to come up with anymore. But if you hear something like that and you want to know, you can get a hold of me. I'll talk to you. I'll tell you what's going on. I'm not sure you're going to get the same response from my opponent, but you're going to get a bunch of nonsense like this. So maybe we're pretty close to the election. I'm hoping that we get through these next few days without a bunch more nonsense. Take care, everyone. It's not very long until election. Let's hold it all together until it gets here.